I've got a pretty simple job here to do for Joe. He asked me if I would thread this 1¼ inch rod for him. So what he wants done is each end of the rod threaded just like this right here. So it'll look like a tie rod. I'm not sure what he's using it for, but I'm sure it's for one of his jobs that he's got going on. So pretty simple job. What I want to do is use this as another little test job using the Milltronics CNC lathe. So I'm going to go over there and see if I can get it programmed using conversational to do the machining that I want to do. And what I would like to do is set the stock in there, face it, turn it to the proper diameter, machine a thread relief, chamfer, and then thread it. So it should be pretty simple. We'll see if I can do it. I got a piece of cold roll that I'm going to use as a piece of test material. This is the one that Joe brought me. So if I prove it out on my piece of material, then we'll set this one up and thread this one on both ends. So let's go to the CNC lathe and see if I can figure this job out. We're going to do a practice session with some 1 7/16 diameter cold roll. I want to make sure that it's doing what we want it to do before I actually run it on the finished material. Setting it at 3 1/8 inch away from the jaw, and that should clean up the face approximately 50 thousandths. I tell you, trying to tighten this chuck up is a little awkward. You only have this one little position right here, and you can't get your left hand in there. So we're gonna probably make a mod eventually, have us another chuck key that is, so you can pull it out here and use your right hand to really torque that thing better. But that should be good to go right there. So I have to close that up, got the safety limit, and we've already got a program written for it. So let's test this and see. I'm turning it to 1¼ inch or 1.245. We're gonna have a thread relief, a radius tool I got in here. So tool number 1, 2, and 3. We got tool number 1 is turning, tool number 2 is a radius or a grooving tool, tool number 3 is our threading tool. Let's go for it. Slow my rapid down. All right, turn chamfered face. This will be our groove. That's borderline trying to chatter on me. Our threading tool. So I can start. I got an optional stop set up here. All right, well, there we go. Let's see. I can't really see any chatter in the threads, but you can, it sounds like we're right on the cusp of it trying to chatter. And I know there's a lot of variables there. You know, we've got a 3-jaw chuck, you know, our stick out there, the depth of cut, but actually the thread looks really good. So it's more of an audio that I'm, you know, an audible thing that I'm hearing there. But what I'm going to do is I need to run a little file over that to smooth that out and then measure it with our triangles and see what our pitch landed on. I think we can close the guard and hit, yeah, clockwise on. That's just going to turn the spindle on. I'm going to come in here and just I just want to break those little burrs off the top of the thread there, off the end, and take a little bit of air and blow that off. Spindle stop. Come in here with our thread triangle. So I already have a value of what I want to measure over, which is going to be 1.523, I believe. 1.523 to 1.524. Let's see where I landed, because I had to make an adjustment on this. All right, just get a feel there. You can feel when those triangles square up on the thread. Look at that, 1.522, 522, and 3/10. So I don't know, we're a little over 1/1000 off, but I think it's going to be good right there. But I can go into my tool table for the thread tool and actually offset that by 1/1000. So I may do that in the tool table and see if it'll bring that back 1/1000 and bring us a little closer to our target, because we are a little over 1/1000 under our target, which that wouldn't kill anything, but we're just, you know, we're learning. So on our tool table here, we're on tool number 3, which is our threading tool. On our X length, right now it's at negative 9.643. That's where the tip of that threading tool is right now in relation to where we zeroed it out. So I'm just going to change this and drop 1/1000 off of that, or actually add 1/1000 to that, should I say, to make it negative 9.644. And hopefully we'll run another test on this and thread it and then mic it and see if that changed it by 1/1000. Just went over bandsawed the ends off of this stock here, and we're going to run it again and see if that 1/1000 adjustment, if I actually did it right. I confirmed that if I want to add 1/1000 on my tool table, that it was plus 1/1000. Take that to 3 1/8. And we'll try it again. See how the test does again this time. I will say it's nice having the enclosure, keep the tips out of the floor out of here. So again, the only thing I changed this on is the depth of the thread. I'm just trying to sneak up on that pitch diameter that we want. Oh, cycle start. Let me turn this option stop off. Pretty slick, ain't it? Happens a lot faster than over on the manual lathe. Go. Let's go ahead and we'll measure our pitch again. Now let's see if I hurt myself or helped it. I'm not worried about filing it just because we're measuring the thread, not the OD. Come on now. Sometimes you can just land on this thing perfectly the first time. I try to hook in the bottom and then hook the top like that. Get it to square up nicely without over tightening it. So 525. So see, it keeps changing on me. I only changed it by a thousandths, but it changed it by a few thousandths on this. So I'm not sure what to do now, but I'm gonna keep playing with this and making some practice cuts on this. When I have this where I want it, I'm gonna bring you guys back and show the actual 1.25" stock that we're gonna thread. So I made another couple of minor tweaks in the program, adding a second finish pass on there. Let's see if that helps. This is pretty finicky trying to change it by a thousandth or two. Try to get a good feel right there. That feels good and square. And bam, we landed right on it that time. 523 and 4/10. 523 and 4/10, and my target is 523 and 7/10. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that worked out good right there. So I just added a, I had one finish pass on there, so it was basically coming down to the final, and so I added two, so it broke that up into two finishing passes now. So that worked out pretty good. Actually, I need to make sure that my diameter is right as well. Let's see. Make sure that's right. I went ahead and filed those little burrs off of it. So it's about 1 thou smaller on the overall diameter. So I'm measuring 1.244 on that. So that's 1/1000th difference. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to learn the machine and learn the programming so I can get these perimeters set correctly. And it's going to take a little while to get used to this stuff. All right, we're going to hang up the practice session for now. We're going to go ahead and put our 1.25" bar stock in there and go ahead and get it done. But there is something that I want to change. So as you've probably heard it, I've talked about it. That groove that I'm cutting in there, the radius groove, which is a thread relief, it's not necessary, but I like it in there. I can tell that it's getting right on the cusp of wanting to chatter. And I'm not sure what exactly is causing that, rigidity issues or whatever. But that is a 5mm wide radius, so it's a pretty wide cut. I've got a different tool that I'd like to put in there. I'm gonna pull this one out, and we've got more of like what a grooving tool would be with a 3mm wide radius insert, and I want to swap that out. But since I got the program ready to go, I don't want to change that now. I'm gonna get the part cut, and then I'm gonna swap that out and do some more testing after the fact and see if I can get it set up right. I got everything to where I want to. We made some adjustments to decrease our diameter since I'm using 1 7/16 stock here, but since we're putting 1.25" stock in there, I don't need to cut air, so we made some mods to the program, and hopefully that's going to work. We'll pull this guy out. Let me grab the other stock and put it in here. We're going to use our nice and rusty 1.25". I'm sure this is 1018 cold roll. This is Joe's stuff, and that's what he kind of keeps on his shelf over there on his metal rack. Got a pretty bad cut on the end. It looks like they were using a grinder to cut that thing off. Stick it out 3 1/8 and get all that cleaned up there. Let's see how it looks. All right, stop. Okay, we'll go ahead and run this. Hopefully we're gonna have some success on this one here. So one of the other cool things I love about this, we can switch this over into manual mode. It wasn't auto. When we put it in manual, you can control this thing like a manual lathe here. all I'm doing really for video purposes, I'm bringing it up kind of close. And here's your cross slide. I'm just bringing it up kind of close so that I can stick the camera right here, and I know I'm not hitting anything. The camera's not going to hit this. It's not going to get in the way. Also clearing the door here whenever I shut it. So I thought I would show you my little behind the scenes kind of getting this set up. Okay, here we go. I did change the feed rate on the facing, by the way. Skinning the OD there. That was sticking out quite a bit. Okay. I was worried there for a second something was wrong. Optional stop. I gotta turn that off. Here's our wide grooving tool. See that chatter, I just don't like it. And our threading tool. So we're running that spindle at 500 RPM for our threading. I gotta learn how to optimize that for what we're doing here. Okay, all right. So what we'll do is check it. I'm gonna do some, I'll tell you what. See, it's leaving those little fuzzies on there, and that's the thing about manual machining is that I've always gone back with a smooth file or mill smooth and just lightly skim the top of that with a file just to remove those little sharp burrs. But I got to figure out how to improve what we're doing here so that maybe it doesn't do that. But for now, let's just hit it with a file. Just want to knock those burrs off there. Go ahead and file that end thread there. Alrighty. All right, our diameter is exactly where we wanted it, 1.245 on the mic. So that's good to go. Let's check that. That's good. So let me go ahead and recheck the thread pitch diameter and see where that landed. I don't actually have any kind of, I don't think I have an 1.25" 12 hex nut around here, so we're just going to be going off of our measured diameter. Come on, get squared up. We are right where we want to be. That is awesome. So 523, bam, and 7/10. I know you can't see that, but I'm telling you the truth there. And then I don't know where I set my note, but that's exactly where we wanted to land on our thread. So that makes me feel pretty good that we're getting those tools dialed in where we want there. Awesome. So heck, let's swap this around, flip it around, and do the same thing. So we're machining an 1.25" 12 thread on the end of this rod here. I'm going to use my thread triangles here to measure the pitch, see where we landed on. So using the triangles, we're looking for a measurement of 1.524. I'd say we're within a couple of tenths of being on our target right there. We should be good to go. A standard 1.25" 12 hex nut should fit that perfectly. So the radius and the threading tool that I've been using on the Milltronics, that's this guy right here, the MX22, and these are the inserts. So this is your full radius insert that I used in there. It's 5 millimeters wide, and I love these inserts. They got such a nice sharp edge there too, and they do a good job on the cut. That's your threading insert right there. I like this size because this will handle a pretty wide variety of pitches, you know, handle some of your coarse pitch. So that's the tool you see me use. This is the one that I haven't installed yet. I'm going to go ahead and play around with this off camera, get this guy installed on the carousel and get it set. And maybe, I think this will probably end up being a better tool to be able to do these undercuts like you know, the thread relief in there. So instead of using that wide tool to cut that radius, this is a 3 millimeter wide insert here that we can use to widen those grooves out, whatever we need, and should help out with that chatter that we're getting. Instead of a full width tool, the smaller width tool, and just be able to widen it out. So anyway, I just thought I would share that with you. I do have a square nose insert so we can use for grooving, and then also, you know, the full radius insert there, and you can also use that for parting off a little bit as well. So anyway, just some more of my Walter tools that I'm messing around with and getting loaded into the machine to continue learning and optimizing how I utilize that CNC lathe. Okay, well, we've got our threaded rod now complete, and it turned out well. It looks good. A great little practice session for me using the Milltronics CNC lathe. Even though I'm still having a lot of difficulty figuring out the program, remembering what it is I'm supposed to do. That's really what it is remembering how to program it properly, because there's a lot of little fine steps in there that you got to do in order to get the tools to cut where you want it and exactly where you want it at. So just a great little practice piece for me. I'm sure Joe will be happy to get it back in his hands. And this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy helping him out with whenever he needs a little help. You know, I always borrow his forklift to help me unload stuff. And this is the kind of stuff I like to do to repay the favor there, you know. So there's some of our little practice pieces where I cut off. And I'm swapping out that radius tool. So I plan on going over there today and testing that other tool with the same cut here and seeing how it performs, see if it does a little bit better. So anyway, I'm just going to continue to do some of that kind of training off camera. And all these little jobs like that is just going to help me kind of understand the machine and the software a little bit more each time that I jump over there and do that. So I hope you guys had fun watching me try to figure this out, and we'll certainly see you on the next video, okay?